My mom texted me, "Don't come to the wedding. You and your kids just make things awkward." No warning, no phone call, just that sentence, cold and final, lighting up my screen while I stood in the pharmacy line with 140 prescription in my hand. My sister reacted with a laughing emoji. I stared at it for a second, then typed back, "Then you won't need my card for the venue." They kept laughing in the group chat, completely unaware that I was already holding the one thing they couldn't afford to lose. And that's where everything began to unravel. Before I tell you how it all played out, hit like and tell me in the comments, have you ever had family turn cruel the moment you finally said enough? When people hear stories like mine, they always ask the same question. How could your own family treat you like that? The truth is, it didn't happen overnight. My mother, Angela, had a gift for turning guilt into currency, and I was her most reliable bank. Ever since I was 16, she'd call it helping out, but somehow that help always came with an invoice attached. When my sisters Jenna and Megan were in college, I co-signed their student loans because Mom said, "You've got the steady job." When our stepdad Rick lost work for a few months, I covered utilities, groceries, even mom share appointments because she swore she'd pay me back when things got better. They never did. I guess I learned early that in our family, love was measured in payments. Still, I kept giving because I thought that's what daughters do. I'm 35 now, a single mom of two, working as an accountant at a pharmaceutical company. My days blur between spreadsheets, school runs, and the quiet kind of exhaustion you only understand if you've ever had to hold everything together by yourself. And even then, I made time for them. 4 months, I'd been helping Jenna plan her dream wedding. Every invoice, every call, every deposit, my name was on it. She wanted a lakeside venue with a glass reception hall, the kind of place that looked perfect on Instagram, but cost more than most people's cars. I told myself it was fine, that she deserved it. I just didn't realize I was funding my own humiliation. Looking back, there were signs, tiny moments that should have warned me. The way Mom's tone changed whenever I asked about sharing costs. The way Jenna brushed off my questions like I was just a worker on her payroll. "You're so good with money," she'd laugh. "You can handle it." And I did $3,000 for the deposit, $1 and $200 for catering consultations, $600 for floral samples, all charged to my credit card. I told myself it was temporary, that they'd pay their share once things settled. They never did. Still, I stayed involved. I showed up to fittings, scrolled through fabric swatches, even took the venue tour while Jenna said she was too stressed to go. Mom kept reminding me family sticks together. And I believed her right up until that text. Maybe that's why it cut so deep. It wasn't just about a wedding. It was about realizing I was only valuable as long as my card worked. Standing in that pharmacy line, I wasn't thinking about revenge or money. I was thinking about all the times I begged to be seen as a daughter, not a resource. And somehow that text made everything perfectly clear. I wasn't part of their celebration. I was their safety net. And now I was done. The next morning, the group chat was still buzzing like a hive. My phone lit up again and again. Laughing emojis, inside jokes, a meme of a bridesmaid tripping down the aisle. It wasn't just cruel, it was coordinated. They were all in on it. I stared at those messages for a long time before muting the chat completely. That small click felt louder than anything I could have said. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone still in my hand, and thought about the last 6 months. Every receipt, every deposit, every favor that had been brushed aside like it meant nothing. I had spent over $4,000 helping them prepare for the big day. I had rearranged my life, skipped weekends with my kids, took time off work, all to make sure everything looked perfect for Jenna. And now they had decided I was the one ruining it. That realization didn't sting the way I expected. It burned, but underneath the heat, there was something steady clarity. They had never wanted me there. Not really. They wanted what I could give, not who I was. That night, Rick called me. He didn't say much, just that he'd seen the messages. His voice was quiet, careful. "You don't deserve that, Adeline," he said. "You've done more than anyone." I could hear the hesitation in his tone, the guilt of someone stuck between loyalty and truth. I told him not to worry, that I was fine. He didn't believe me, but he let it go. When we hung up, I opened my laptop. I scrolled through the new contract, the one I had signed and paid the deposit for. My name stared back at me in bold black letters. Primary contact, Adeline Moore. I hadn't noticed how heavy those words felt until now. I looked around my apartment, quiet, dimly lit, the kids asleep in their rooms, and realized this was the only space that ever felt safe. Everything outside these walls belonged to them. The guilt, the expectations, the manipulation, but this was mine. My cursor hovered over the email draft I had started weeks ago when Thevenu asked for final confirmation. I remembered the coordinator's friendly voice. You can reach out anytime if you need to make changes. My fingers tapped the keys before I could second-guess this myself. I typed, "Can I cancel the booking if needed?" and hit send. The next morning, the reply came, "Yes, since you're the primary on file." I sat back, reading it twice, my pulse steady for the first time in days. They thought I'd stay quiet, that I'd keep paying, keep apologizing, keep trying to earn a seat at a table that had already decided I didn't belong. But what they didn't know, what they never imagined, was that the table was about to disappear entirely. I didn't cancel the venue right away. I waited 2 days long enough for them to keep laughing, long enough for the silence to grow sharp. By Wednesday morning, Jenna posted a countdown on her Instagram story, 12 days until forever. I watched it for exactly 3 seconds before opening my laptop. The venue coordinator, Melissa, picked up on the second ring. She remembered me right away, probably because I was the only one who ever showed up for the planning meetings. "Hi, Adeline. Are we confirming the final payment today?" she asked, cheerful as ever. "Actually," I said, keeping my voice calm, "I need to cancel the event." There was a pause on the line. Then, in that quiet, I could almost hear her nod. "Understood. Since the contract's under your name, I'll process the cancellation right now." Just like that, months of planning vanished with a single click. But instead of guilt, I felt stillness. The kind that follows a storm when the air feels heavy but clean. After hanging up, I sat for a while staring at the muted group chat. They were still posting memes about the drama queen ruining the mood. I almost smiled because in a few hours, they'd realize what real drama looked like. That afternoon, I made a second call to Carla and Denise, my 2 oldest friends from college. They'd eloped during the pandemic and never got to celebrate properly. When I told them the date and the venue were suddenly free, they thought I was joking. "No joke," I said. "It's yours if you want it." My treat. There was silence, then soft crying through the line. They didn't know it, but they were saving me too. Giving that day a new purpose meant I didn't have to carry its ugliness anymore. By evening, the group chat had gone quiet. I knew why. The payment must have bounced, and the venue had probably sent the cancellation notice. I imagined the panic spreading like wildfire. Jenna refreshing her email. Mom pacing the living room, Megan typing in all caps. I poured myself a glass of water, leaned against the counter, and waited. Not out of cruelty, but curiosity. How long would it take before they realized the only person who ever kept things together was gone? They had turned my kindness into a joke. Now they were about to learn what happens when the punchline walks away. The fallout started faster than I expected. By Thursday morning, my phone was vibrating nonstop. Jenna, Mom, and Megan all calling, all leaving the same frantic messages. "Why did the venue say the booking's gone?" "Adeline, call me back right now." "What did you do?" I didn't answer. I wanted them to feel that silence. For once, they could sit in the confusion they'd built for me all these years. By noon, Rick called. His tone was low but steady. "They're losing it," he said. "Jenna's crying. Your mom's yelling and Megan's trying to find someone to blame. I told them this would happen." He paused. "I'm sorry, kiddo. You deserved better." I didn't cry. I just said, "Thank you for seeing it." That night, my mother called my house phone, a number she hadn't dialed in years. Faring sounded foreign in my own home. When I answered, she didn't waste time with greetings. "How could you do this to your sister? You sabotaged her wedding." I let her rant, her voice sharp and trembling. When she finally stopped to breathe, I asked quietly, "Was I even invited anymore?" There was silence. Then she tried to backtrack. "You took that message the wrong way. We were joking. You know, Jenna gets stressed." She didn't mean it. I almost laughed. "You all thought it was funny enough to post memes, Adeline," she said, her voice trembling between anger and guilt. "Don't make this worse. Just fix it." I hung up. No yelling, no dramatic exit, just a clean disconnect. The next morning, I met Rick for coffee downtown. He looked tired. The kind of tired that lives in your eyes. "Your mom's been impossible," he said. "Jenna is calling every venue within 50 me, but everything's booked." "What about the catering?" I asked. He shook his head. "Refunds are gone. Non-transferable." For the first time, I saw the corners of his mouth twitch into something close to a smile. "You know, I told her if she doesn't apologize to you, I'm not paying a dime." I sipped my coffee, letting the warmth fill the quiet between us. And what did she say? He looked down. She said, "I'm being manipulated by you." I smiled back. "Maybe you're just paying attention." By Sunday, the silence from their end turned eerie. No calls, no updates, not even a single post from Jenna. I thought that was the end of it until Rick texted, "They found a new venue Wednesday evening. Cheap banquet hall outside town." He didn't need to say more. I could picture it already. The fluorescent lights, folding chairs, buffet trays, steaming under tin foil. On the day of the wedding, it rained, not a soft drizzle, but a cold, relentless downpour that turned the parking lot into a puddle. I wasn't there, but I didn't have to be. People sent me photos. A cousin texted, "What happened?" It looked sad. Jenna didn't tag me in anything, of course, but Megan slipped up, posted a blurry shot of the hall, beige walls, plastic flowers, cheap sound system. The caption read, "Round 2, no drama." The irony almost made me laugh. Later that night, Rick called. "You won't believe this," he said. During the bouquet toss, one of Jenna's old friends caught it and shouted that the groom still been texting her. Whole place went silent. I covered my mouth, not out of shock, but to hide the smile I didn't want him to hear. "Your mom blamed me," Rick continued. "Said I invited the wrong people. Said this is all my fault. I told her she pushed away the only person who ever kept this family together." He exhaled, long and heavy. I think she finally understood it. Maybe not the words, but the silence after. When the call ended, I sat on my couch for a long time, listening to the quiet hum of their refrigerator. The faint breathing of my kids asleep down the hall. I expected to feel vindicated, maybe triumphant, but instead I felt calm, like something heavy had finally slid off my chest. The next morning, Jenna texted me for the first time since the chaos began. "You must feel proud of yourself. Everyone's talking about how cold you are." I stared at the message thumb hovering over the screen. For a moment, I considered replying, explaining, defending myself. But what would be the point? She didn't want the truth. She wanted a reaction, so I put the phone face down and let it buzz against the table until it stopped. A few days later, Rick texted again 2 words. "I'm leaving." I called him immediately. "You mean, yeah," he said. "I told your mom I'm done. I can't live in a house where decency is treated like betrayal." His voice softened. "I added your name to my insurance, by the way. You're the only one who ever treated me like family." My throat tightened, but no tears came. I just whispered, "Thank you." That night, I walked out to the balcony. The rain had stopped. The air smelled clean, like everything had been washed new. I thought about the text that started it all. My mom's cold words, the emojis, the laughter. They thought I was being petty when I pulled away. But they never understood it wasn't revenge. It was release. 4 years, I'd been paying for their peace. Now, for the first time, it was mine. Rick moved out a week later. No fight, no shouting, just a quiet departure that said everything words couldn't. He left a note on my doorstep written in his small, careful handwriting. "You were right to walk away first." When we met for coffee a few days later, he looked lighter, younger somehow. "The house is unbearable," he said. "Your mom's pretending everything's fine, but Megan's unemployed, and Jenna's drowning in debt from that wedding." He stirred his cup slowly. "You know what's funny? They still haven't apologized." Not once. I smiled, but there was no satisfaction in it, just understanding. They can't. Apologies mean admitting the well-isdry. He laughed softly, then handed me a small envelope. Inside was a check. "Part off that loan I took for them," he said. "They'll never see a dime of it again, but you deserve this back." I shook my head and slid it back toward him. "Keep it, Rick. You paid enough already." Later that night, I sat on my balcony watching the city lights blink below. My phone buzzed a text from Mom. "You've made your point, but this is still your family." I read it once, then typed back, "I didn't cut anyone off. I just stopped funding my own mistreatment." She never replied. Inside, my kids were laughing, building a pillow fort in the living room. I looked at them and realized that peace wasn't loud or flashy. It was quiet, steady, and finally mine. For the first time in years, I didn't feel responsible for everyone else's happiness, just my own. I used to think love meant staying, no matter how much it hurt. That loyalty was about carrying the weight, even when it wasn't mine. But now I know love without respect is just control dressed as care. Walking away wasn't revenge. It was survival. If there's one thing this whole mess taught me, it's that peace doesn't always come from fixing what's broken. It comes from finally letting it fall. So, if you've ever had to choose between your peace and your family's approval, take it from me. Choose peace, you'll sleep better. You'll breathe again. And if this story hit a little too close to home, tell me where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like